flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning to you, Uganda. Welcome to Wednesday, 27th October 2021. My name is Priscilla Nalwoga. Delighted to have you for yet another rather warm morning. And what even makes it more warm is the interesting news that continues to come out of the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. Yes, we've been talking about the Mputa versus the Ngege and how many of us would rather eat our own than sell it to the highest bidder for European markets. But another good thing coming out from that very same ministry, we do have 50 tons of powdered milk that were flagged off yesterday to Zambia, courtesy of an agreement that we now have that they will be buying powdered milk from Uganda. I think that deserves of galore. I don't remember how people reacted to this, but surely I was waiting for them to say, no, our cows, our milk, our one. But that did not mushroom upon, which caused me to think, I think people, how they look at these things is quite interesting. The biggest picture and the biggest spectrum should be most important, because now we're going to be benefiting from this particular agreement between us and Zambia, still within the trade markets that we were talking about yesterday. Anyway, yesterday is a bygone, today is a new day, and we definitely have new conversations that we are set to have out this morning, as we shall later be relaying them to you. For this morning, I am joined by the distinguished gentleman. Good morning to you, Robert Kirabo.
A lovely morning to you, Priscilla, and indeed a lovely morning to you, our viewers. Thank you so much for starting your day with us, because we are going to ensure that you're well informed with all the information that you need as you go through business. Indeed, good news, because one of the things we've been craving for as farmers, that has always been markets. So any additional market is a privilege. And more so when you talk about value addition. You know, His Excellency has always been pushing for commercial agriculture and value addition. Now we are sending powdered milk. That is value addition. And I know it encourages someone to ensure they had value to this. Milk, we don't have scarcity of milk in Uganda.
No,
actually, I've been having plenty of milk, more so when you go to Western Uganda. Yeah. Contrary to the other things in the water, where it is rarely now for someone even to afford just a kilo of that particular species of fish you're talking about. But it is an encouragement, it's a step in the right direction, and it calls for a reason why people should engage in commercial agriculture, because markets are available. Yeah, it's not about having your milk, then it goes bad, you know nothing to do about it. So markets are available, it's an encouragement to go in the right direction.
Reminds me of when we were growing up, powdered milk was a delicacy at home. Like a tin between me and my brother would disappear in, okay, if we have behaved, it would be one day. But if we have misbehaved, half a day.
Don't you get some beatings?
You know, powdered milk,
it leaves evidence.
You mix it with some sugar. Yeah, no, our father used to buy things in bulk. So how would you notice these things flying out of the window? Plus, we are children. They buy these things for us to enjoy. So you would get the tin, just mix in some sugar, and then also mix in some drinking chocolate, and you would lick it every single time. It was a snack. It was everything.
The Rubaga boy is watching in amusement,
and that is where I want to find out, Mr.
Rubaga boy. Milk to suck and nothing happens.
Mr. Rubaga boy, what was your experience with powdered milk growing up, if you had any? And good morning to you.
Rubaga, oh yeah, anyway. And good morning to you, Priscilla and Robert. You guys were talking about Rubaga, and I was thinking how such that place, by the way, is celebrated. But that will be a story for another time. You talked about milk. You don't want to know my experience about milk.
Please
it will
tell.
It will shock you. And I don't know if my dear first wife is watching, but if she is, she knows that we used to buy 1 cup, what we call liter. Liter.
Yes.
Now liter used to be 500 shillings. I
Those
thought it
would
was
be 2 months.
300. Actually, no, it would be like chikopo chali liter, chikopo chali half liter.
Half liter it was.
Yes,
it
yeah,
was
half liter,
yes.
chikopo cha mata. So they would send you to the dairy to buy it, I think about 500. Now we used to have this very big kettle because it used to be mob at home. So they put that one, and then you put like 3 cups or 4 cups
Of water?
of water.
So they were taking color.
So, but of course, as kids, we would be so happy. And then they had to make sure they give you a very big cup of that colored
Water.
But it was enjoyable. Then you would go and buy muhogo at Tigoreti's place of about 500, which you would share among yourself, 1.5. You know, it was really a nice experience. So when you talk about milk, I remember that is for me the kind of thing you used to have. But even growing up, I failed now to become a milk person. Like it's an occasional thing for me because of that childhood experience.
Yeah,
I never got
yeah.
like the best of having milk. And now when it comes to that one of powder, I started seeing that thing when I was
Going to boarding school.
probably when I was buying it for my baby. That's the only time. Honestly, I used
Yeah.
to see it,
like
but I never
up close with
I
it.
never owned
Yes.
it, like even as a school boy or even at home. So we used to know that there was probably needle. What's it called needle?
Yes, it was called needle, yeah.
Needle, but whatever. So it was, but it's not something. So, but the only time I can history I can give is when I started buying it. I think I bought naan, then Aptamil for the baby.
Oh yeah,
Really.
for the toddlers, the
Yeah, that's
newborn
the only
babies.
time.
Yes.
But eat in powder form, I don't think I have a very big. Though my siblings, the ones who followed after some of us when we are life had changed,
Yeah.
for them they enjoyed. They really had a story.
Yeah, I had that experience of the colored water. It's
You don't have to, you know, it's very painful when you call it like that, and it's not good, Robert, for you to call our milk colored.
No, to be
no,
honest,
yours, which
coming from
which
why
is
I call it
diluted
why I
to
call
that
it
extent of 4 cups in
Trust
just
me,
a half
you
cup
could
of.
never tell. All
Anyway,
that
but you
mattered for us,
know where that comes from. Milk back in the day was really concentrated.
maybe
Yes.
also
Yes.
that.
Yes.
So the concentration levels definitely
Actually, yeah,
differ
that
from
makes a lot of
today's.
sense.
and why that was
Yeah.
because the breeds of cows were rearing by then.
That's
you
true.
see, if you have a Jersey, a Ganze, those have really concrete milk, but they may not give so much like
And
a
you know,
Frisian does.
And
Yeah.
something else
So
you know
with-
about milk, like about that story, Robert. They used to tell us like to cook the milk, but if they, you know, when you're cooking milk for us, then like you wouldn't move an inch.
Yep,
Would
yeah,
not
because-
kuma matter. Because if that thing poured,
trouble.
man,
You-
if-
you have cost
actually, I
someone
remember
half a
even
cup
my,
of
my,
milk.
my grandma had taught us when to put tea leaves. At what point do you put tea leaves? At what point do you put mujaja? At what point do you put ntangauzi?
Okay.
Because when you miss those points, matagafa. It
So
will get spoiled.
please share the recipe. At what point do you put these other things?
I cannot remember when I'm like actually like
When the
when
foam
it starts
has come?
boiling.
Yes.
No, you don't put at that point. It
Yeah.
has to first boil and the first foam comes.
Okay.
Now when it comes, and you know the first foam is so dangerous. You have to remove the kettle as you put it back. Remove as you put it back. And remember, then you remove the nku, the firewood, slowly. So then after like it has come, then you put the tea leaves. Now you wait it to kutokota like for probably 3 minutes. Then you put in the chisubi. At that point, it doesn't get spoiled anymore. But before it's amata gonegafa.
Story of my life.
When we are waiting.
Well, for me, I think what I had with milk was the beating for not milking. Yeah, because we had a cow at home, and much as there was a person supposed to attend to this cow, our parents wanted us to learn how to milk. But you have to wake up very early. And those days there were some funny insects, I don't know the name, but in
ticks,
English,
maybe.
no, they were called butuguru. Early morning when you wake up to milk, there's a way they get in the hair and they itch. So I tell you, tomorrow it is you milking. We have these cows, Kirabo, we have this number of cows. Now you sleep and you forget to milk. Then you'd get the problem. But my best was that hot milk after you've just gotten from milking. I'll
Yes.
just sieve it, then take it wholeheartedly. Though if my mom still phoned me, it would be another beating.
To the bongo lovers like Fiona, my friend, somewhere in here, I trust you have a different story to this whole milk conversation. To our friends in the West who actually make natural yogurt out of it, which I've had the privilege of testing. It's a very interesting taste and how they naturally make it. The procedure is equally very artistic in nature. We do have a lot and plenty to celebrate in the Pearl of Africa, but we continue on with Good Morning Uganda. At about this time, we get to give you a roundup of the stories in the last 24 hours, both locally and internationally. And we're going to be picking it up from what has made headlines in the local stories. And
we'll begin by looking at plans by the Ministry of Education and Sports to ensure continuity of learning even when schools are now closed, where the First Lady yesterday flagged off a bunch of learning material for learners. That is the First Lady and Minister for Education and Sports, Janet Museveni, flagged off the third phase of distribution of self-study material to ensure continuity of learners during the lockdown. She called upon suppliers to ensure materials reach the beneficiaries. Following the closure of schools in March last year as one of the measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19, the Education Ministry, through the National Curriculum Development Center, has been distributing self-study materials to learners mostly in rural areas to ensure continuity of learning. The Minister for Education, accompanied by her 3 state ministers, flagged off the third phase. The minister was dismayed after learning that study materials up to now have not reached the beneficiaries. At least 19 million copies were dispatched and will benefit learners from primary 1, 4 and senior 5 and 6 at secondary level, according to the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education and Sports, Ms. Katie Lamaro, adding that a new distribution plan will be adopted to ensure that learners in both government-aided and private schools receive their copies on time. Meanwhile, the ministry has urged school administrators to ensure vaccination of staff, non-teaching staff, and learners above the age of 18.
Police have revealed the top most wanted ADF terrorist orchestrating terror activities in Uganda. So far, one person in the name of Aisha Katshabek from Hoima district has been arrested for facilitating financial support to the ADF activities. These are said to have strong roots in Uganda, having spent some time recruiting young people. The wanted list includes the main commander of ADF, Medi Nkalubo, situated in DRC with a clear chain of command in different parts of Uganda. Through money transfers, several suspects have been identified, though operating outside Uganda, and security commits to use appropriate channels to apprehend them. Security confirms the ongoing recruitment of young people into terrorism activities. Masterminds are said to have links with different recognized rebel groups in Africa with the commitment of destabilizing peace. Police is also investigating some petroleum dealers and real estate dealers for bankrolling terror activities in Uganda. The listed ADF associates, in collaboration with other rebel groups, are believed to have a hand in the recent attacks at the different UPDF detached.
And we now still move to education, where a total of 587,505 students are placed in Senior 1 and 26,000 in Senior 5 during the selection exercise for candidates of the year 2020 academic year. While officiating at the opening of the selection and placement exercise at Kololo, the Minister of Education and Sports, Janet Museveni, said she will no longer tolerate unprofessional head teachers who plan and engage in malpractices because that is academic corruption. Ministry of Education and Sports started the selection and placement exercise for candidates of the year 2020 academic year. This time around, head teachers of secondary schools are doing selections for 2 levels, O and A, in one day. The selection and placement committee has been phased into 4 days, which each day having 500 head teachers. The cutoff points for both Senior 1 and Senior 5 have remained constant. This year, there has not been selection for primary teachers' colleges for grade 3 certificates due to the requirement of the teachers' policy. The Minister for Education and Sports, Jane Museveni, urged his teachers to prepare learners and enable them to progress accordingly to their abilities.
From the Intelligence Center, the Director Internal Security Organization, Colonel Charles Oluka, has called for calm among the public amidst terror threats. Colonel Oluka says security intercepted about 47 bombs from explosions before the recent 2 exploded in and around Kampala. He made the remarks as he met intelligence chiefs from East Africa at the African Union Intelligence Center in Uganda. Just in a period of 1 week, 2 bomb blasts have gone off in Uganda, with the first one in Kampala's Kawempe suburb at Komambuga and the second one in a bus at Mpigi district in Lugara. Colonel Oluka was meeting intelligence chiefs from Eastern Africa at the Intelligence Center in Uganda that is coordinating intelligence in 10 East African countries under the African Union. He tasked the Intelligence Center to upgrade their technology in the fight against complex and transnational crimes like terrorism. The coordinator of the intelligence unit, Tom Magambo, says the facility is the bigger plan by the African Union to improve intelligence in the continent. The East African Fusion and Liaison Unit shares intelligence in 10 Eastern African countries, including the host country, Uganda. And now we turn the pages to the international scene for an update in that regard.
We'll be looking at the US, and it comes out to make strong statements opposing Israel's settlement expansion plan. Now, the Biden administration has voiced opposition to the settlement expansion plans by Israel in the West Bank, saying they damaged the same place. Now, the prospect for the two-state solution in a rare criticism of its Israeli allies, the Department of State spokesperson Ned Prince on Tuesday ambiguously rejected Israel's recent push to build more settlement in the West Bank. He also added, such critics are making effort over retrospecity to cause legalities and irregularities will cause no settlement and post poor outputs for the Palestinian terrors. Now, we are deeply concerned about the Israeli government's plan to advance thousands of settlement units tomorrow, Wednesday, many of them deep in the West Bank, Price said. Well, back about the international stories again, we'll be looking at China doubles down on COVID-0 strategy. Now, an expensive compound of buildings covering the equivalent of at least 46 football pitches was recently erected on the outskirts of Guangzhou, China, and bustling southern metropolis. The sprawling complex of the 3-story building contains at least more than 5,000 rooms, and it's first of what is expected to be a chain of quarantine centers built by the Chinese government to the House Zero arriving overseas as it comes to forge ahead to its zero tolerance for approaching COVID-19. And the compound is equipped with at least 5G communication technology and artificial intelligence infrastructure, and each room, which can host only one person at a time, has cameras at its doors and a robot delivery system to minimize human contact and the risk of cross-infection, according to the introduction of the center put out by Guangzhou government. Now, it took the construction team less than 3 months to finish the project, in an echo of House Shenzhen, Alishan temporary hospital that were built in record time in the central city of Wuhan. COVID-19 took hold in the early 2020. Crossing back to Africa, Sudan's army seized power to prevent civil war, coup leader says. Now, coup leader General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan has said the military seized power on Monday to prevent a civil war. He added that the deposed Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok was being kept at the general house for his own safety, but has now returned home. Protests are continuing for a second day in the capital, Khartoum, with record bridges and shops closed. Phone and internet lines are also disrupted. At least 10 people were reported having been killed since the unrest began, and the dangers were witnessed last week could have led to the countries into civil war. General Bahan told the news conference earlier on Tuesday the Prime Minister was at his house, but we feared that he will be harmed. He added, I was with him last night and he is going about his life. He will return to his home when the crisis is over and all threats are gone. Well, clearly there's much activity happening around us, and majorly in Africa we've seen almost coups since the beginning of this year. The question is, what's the solution? As Robert always asks, what is the role of the African Union in such activities? What more can we do about the same? Is it civility in at least the 21st century? Should we still be talking about coups or what you want to call coup d'etats? Robert.
Well, right, like you say, Felix, Africa should now have moved far away from that when you talk about issues of democracy. However, now things seem to be taking a twist. Previously, there would be a war for a long time, then or soldiers would take over another soldier. But this new wave of he's safe, we are holding him somewhere. But the good news is, every day, African Union is building strength. So we hope one day we shall wake up when we no longer have to have troops in another country, but being sponsored by a country from the Western region. But also should scrutinize, where do these people get these weapons? I don't know an African country that is very good at manufacturing AK-47 and dealing in this
Uganda?
business as well. So also
in Nakasongola we have a very good...
but some of these, we need to investigate those big brothers that come with human rights, and then what do they earn most in these wars? I think the weapons we use come from another part of the world we need to investigate. But that said, for us, we will come back to your health and encourage you to ensure that you start your morning when you've empowered your body to fight any form of disease that could attack them by ensuring that you take Hallelujah reflexology products. Ginger tea and turmeric drink will do you very well as far as empowering the white blood cells to fight any enemy that could intrude muscle, coughs, and colds.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. Of course, we do have the French Minister for External Trade and Investment who is in the country for the last 2 days. He's had a meeting with His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Of course, they are reaffirming their commitment as the country of France to Uganda, and also discussing possible trade deals that we can sign together for better commitment, but also opening up opportunities for each of us, both Uganda and France. Away from that, we do have our newsreel that will be clocking in on the 7 o'clock hour. And Felix Nkunda, what are we looking at this morning?
About security. It's key that we continue to discuss the issues of security in relation to what's unfolding day by day. Yesterday we did have statements of police, and we want to break down such statements for our viewers there, try to add our opinions and see how we can be helpful to our communities in terms of what we can do in times like this.
Which takes us to our poll question this morning.
And that poll question will be, what more can be done by the security institutions to ensure safety of Ugandans amidst terror attacks? What more can be done by the security institutions to ensure safety of Ugandans amidst terror attacks? Now be able to share your sentiments, your opinions, and your true thoughts about this poll question now on Twitter. It's hashtag UBCGMU, and of course on WhatsApp, it's a 0709 60 25 92.
And our commitment is to always bring for you a topical discussion where we bring a person of influence or who is more eligible to talk about that matter of discussion, which is our Good Morning Uganda agenda, hosted by Robert Kirabo. Robert, what is our agenda this morning?
Well, today we are going to be talking about weather and nature. Those are floods that we've seen in a number of places in this country.
Western Uganda,
we're going to emphasize the Bududa part of it. Recently, the Meteorological Department came up and they expressed fear that with these rains, we are likely to have a reoccurrence of floods and lose lives of people. So we're having a man who was once an district of that area, a born of the area, very informed when it comes to issues of floods, government policies, and what we have done and what we failed to do.
And later on, Ruben Pimachibidang is also going to be having a guest joining him on set this morning as they have topical conversations around the world of sport. Of course, Carabao Cup resumed yesterday, round of 16. Arsenal. Yes. Wow.
Arsenal. You know how they
Arsenal fans in this.
When you meet Arsenal fans,
majority.
when you meet Arsenal fans and everyone a match.
Yeah.
You know how they can be, even the pronunciation of the word Arsenal changes to Arsenal. So,
you see, silent majority.
Yes.
But it's one of the teams on the African continent that has massive support. Just wait that they will take
which Arsenal? Robin will be asking you which Arsenal. The one of
any
Patrick
other
Vieira or the one of Saka?
No, the current
That's a good
Arsenal,
one.
the current Arsenal.
All right, well,
that won yesterday.
clearly these two will have to join Ruben Fima Tividango talking about the Arsenal's win over a very standard team, Leeds United. Anyway, that's for later on Good Morning
team.
Uganda. For now, allow us to take a short commercial break, leave you with the song for the day, and catch you in the 7 o'clock hour.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios.
Good morning to you once again. Thank you so much for watching UBC TV this morning. We're definitely delighted, and we don't take your commitment to Good Morning Uganda lightly. We very much appreciate it. My name is Priscilla Nalwoga, and welcome once again to Good Morning Uganda this Wednesday morning, 27th of October 2021. Joining me for our newsreel discussion is Robert Kirabo and Felix Nkunda. But before we get into that, in case you have just joined us in this hour, we want to let you know of our daily poll this morning so that you too can be able to give us your contribution.
Our whole question will be what more can be done by security institutions
to ensure safety of Ugandans amidst terror attacks. Between you and me, you know that at least for the last couple of 7 days, we've had at least 2 attacks till yesterday, till the other day, I think on, was it Sunday or Monday?
Monday.
So, yeah, we pray that you also be able to share with us what more can security institutions do. In particular, we did talk about communities. Now we want to hear your true comments about security institutions and what more they can do to up their game so that we can avert these terror attacks.
Okay, looking at the police update from the Lugala bomb, we do have the Uganda police having revealed the name of the young boy that died in the bomb blast that occurred on Swift Safari's match court at Lugala Mpigi alongside Masaka Road. And in the briefing from security, we did have an update in that regard. Police spokesperson Fred Enanga said the deceased Isaac Matovu, 23 years of age, is one of the members of the Allied Democratic Forces, which is commonly known as the ADF. Only one person died on the spot, and the regional police commander Bushenyi Adrian Kwetegereza, who was also on board, sustained serious injuries. 52 other people were on board at the time of the incident, and this explains the magnitude of the devices that were used. This suicide bomber is believed to have boarded the bus with a colleague from Chisenyi bus terminal, who police say later disembarked at Maya checkpoint. Police is revealing that the CCTV footage to aid their search on who could have moved out of the bus. And on assessment of the scene of crime, police says they are improvised explosive devices, and police has further revealed that there is a criminal gang designing these deadly devices within the local region, or Uganda to be exact, which is a sad story. Of course, earlier on we had done a story, and this ADF is being tied to land brokers. You also have them being tied to petroleum dealers, being one of the avenues of funding for their activities within Uganda, and solely being said to be responsible for the 2 bomb blasts that we've had in the last 4 days. A sad time in the country of Uganda, especially where security is concerned. And we want to find out from Robert Kirabo regards these updates. What does this mean in terms of vigilance as the country of Uganda moving ahead in such times?
First, if you followed the press briefing by the police spokesperson Fred Enanga, and later on the director of town security, this gives hope to Ugandans to begin with, in that terrorism, first and foremost, you must identify the connectivity and the people behind this. And when we look at the 3 already arrested, the lady in Hoima who it is alleged used to withdraw this money and then supply the fund to these sleeper cells, that is a step in the right direction. We've been able to identify security already that yes, this is made in Kirabo, based in the Democratic Republic of Congo. These are the people that they are working with. Now the challenge remains, how do you spot them, get them nabbed before they have established their missions? So to me, that is a major breakthrough in fighting terrorism, where our security personnel seem fairly on top of the game, because now they know who to look out for. When Enanga, and I want to quote his words, he said, "We strongly believe that the Komamboga and Swift Safari bus attackers are part of a sleeper cell in the country, inspired by the ADF in close collaboration with the Islamic State." So now you know where you're going to begin investigation. You know where you're going to start your arrests, and this is first a step in the right direction. Now, as security is doing this, it's now upon the public, the community, us, Priscilla, Felix, and you watching us, that, when there is a hunt for these people, how do we ensure that we close in the soft gaps Because terrorists will always first and foremost target us soft gaps. How do we ensure, for example, that we have public places where people go, that there's enough checking? Uganda is a country that has about 320 companies of security companies that man, and these are about 60,000 guards. So how are they trained to search? How are they trained to be on alert, to identify the community? How are they empowered? Yesterday, during the burial of Evelyn, the girl that died in the Komamboga, Komamboga. What happened during the burial? Someone brought a bag, and there was a phone. And this person, I think, had forgotten where he had placed his bag. But because of this terror, so the phone began vibrating. But the panic and the concern and the vigilance of the people at the burial there explained the only mistake I think they made, that we should tell Ugandans, please, when you suspect an object, it is not you to scrutinize. Inform the police so that you have our ballistic experts come and do the checking. So security, I have no doubt they'll get on top of that game. But as now the public, how do we ensure that we safeguard ourselves? A person abandons a bag, it's not an opportunity for you to go home with that bag. Please. A person is bulky. You see, he's moving as if he's concealing some objects. You know, a person visits a place regularly, asks funny questions. So if you're on alert, we can ensure we fight this terrorism as the security handles, of course with providing information, the tracking down of these sleeper cells and nab them.
Okay, all right. Averting modern day insecurity and also terrorism, we do have a close relationship between politics and terrorism ever and again for all the terror attacks that we have had, not just within Uganda, but all over the world. And I want to find out from Felix, this continued relationship between politics and terrorism. From the Komamboga incident, it stated that one of the suspects was wearing a red shirt that later was being identified as a NUP supporter and then being tied to the terrorism. Of course, now police is saying a different story and saying that ADF is behind these two particular bombings. But let's assess that relationship and see how it's affecting insecurity.
Yeah, Priscilla, you must
also take note that internationally, actually the backbone of terrorism is politics. And that's a matter of fact, and you can look at it internationally. You do take notice if you want to take a study in the same acts. You go to countries like Syria, you go to Yemen, you go to Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran. You will notice that all these people do these things because they want political power. And that's the source of it. All these things are done to prove these political indifferences. And this could be in terms of ideology, in terms of how leadership is given. Then there's, of course, later on you bring in the aspect of religion. You've had some being tailored towards religion. And even ours has folded mostly to bring out the same argument. Now, when you look at a country like Uganda that has by far based its existence on one political party, our politics is a bit different. That you would imagine having the party in power has the mandate to protect Ugandans, full stop. All right, whether or not maybe Kirabo has a party, and he would want to do activities, as long as there's a political party in power, it must take toll against all those. And that's why you realize that the activities of the institutions of government are not in isolation of any political party or what, because threat comes to Ugandans by far before we want to define ourselves separately from or being this or being that or being this. And we must not take this lightly. I saw the noob coming out to lash out and make all this. I think we should have an inner depth thought, in as much as what they say could be true or not true, but for purposes of security for the entire country, we must accept to diagnose the issue of the relationship of politics and security. Because, as I said earlier, everyone who is trying to attack Ugandans is doing it probably, one of the reasons would be with their political interests. Some of them do it to tarnish the image of the government in power. Some of them do it to even aim to personalities in government. We have had people being killed. You've had the president time and again talk about those guys like Kawesa, that is Kagezi. We have lost Muslim clerics. We almost lost General Katumba. We lost the daughter and the driver. These are government officials. What would be the motive then? So, if you look at terrorism, you must also look at the politics. Remember, we used to have a con at one point who wanted to take over government. So you don't take it lightly. You must be able to unveil the relationship of politics and terrorism. And that also means that there is a burden that falls onto political leaders. If you can cause a relationship between the two, it means there's a burden on political leadership. And at all levels, which will bring you back to what Robert is saying, vigilance. What is the political style of leadership? How involved are political leaders in matters of their communities? Or are they fighting political battles at that level? Do we see members at political level, different leaderships of politics, being interested in terms of security? And this also relates to the people who support them. They could not know. People can use attires. Someone can put on green and go and bomb a place to send a political message. But how vigilant is the party that uses green in terms of all this? Away from just coming and saying these ones are just witch hunting us, they want to. How about we also take a leapfrog into some of these matters? When we meet people, what energy do we put in people? This is key for us to discuss. In as much as we have had this conversation of opposition time and again, but how do we dissect our kind of opposition?
Okay.
You know, so I think we must agree to contextualize politics and security, not away from actual deliberation of disagreeing, which is normal, but also taking an interest into how we can govern politics to be able to have security forth.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Felix, for that input. Now, we want to, you did highlight vigilance. Robert has also mentioned the same word. Reflecting to 2010 in Uganda, 11th July was quite a sad day in this country. While members, one community, different communities were, catching up with football, there was bomb blasts here in Chadondo. We had bomb blasts in Kabalagala, and they left so many dead. However, the response of different stakeholders to that was very great. From government, there was sensitization, mass sensitization, media platforms, local authorities were doing a lot of sensitization to ensure that they let the citizens know what they should be doing in such a time as this. When it came to security in all public places, you had to go through a thorough security checkup before accessing any public space. And now we do have something, we do have the spokesperson having called them soft spots, small areas which you can easily ignore. A pork joint you can easily ignore. A bus, en route, who would have expected that? But it's 2 in 5 days and we don't know what is coming next. How then do we pick up the same vigilance with all the stakeholders engaged in this?
First, we must understand that the problem is with us. Previously, 2010, after these bombs, Ugandans were awake to the reality that any person can be a terrorist. Anytime, any lapse in security can cause loss of lives. But you see, sometime when time passes, people tend, and there isn't a repeat of such occurrence, people tend to think that these are not happening in Uganda. Yesterday, when one of the heads in our security organization said we've been able to foil about 47 attempts to bomb this country. And of course, there could even be more. But when security does not give this information, for security purposes maybe, it doesn't want to create fear in the public and all that. So people tend to forget, and you may not accuse them about that. But what is important is how often have you carried on with the sensitization? So to me, how best we can improve this is first and foremost, letting people know that the enemy is with us. The enemy has not gone. When you talk about soft spots, in security, they refer to places that may not have enough sensitive security. For example, why they call them soft targets, a barracks is not a soft target, it's not a soft spot. However much it could be, it could house a number of people. Whereas a church could be, because you may not find people with guns there, there's not high security. So, importantly, know that the enemy is with us. Then provide people on how best they can prevent terrorism from happening. Like I've always said, the greatest weapon in fighting terrorism is just on your body that God gave you, and that is the eye. Your capacity to detect, to be suspicious, and report relevant authority is the only way we can fight terrorism in this country. That yes, you're going to the taxi or a bus park, maybe checking is not sufficient enough. How do you raise an alarm? A person, for example, with buses, Priscilla, you can have security at the bus parks, but remember these buses, the people that board along the way, you know, as the bus has left the bus park, they have done all the thorough checking. Along the way, someone stops and enters the bus, maybe even with the luggage. Who is going to check? So it now goes to the public that a person will understand, gentlemen, you're leaving your luggage with us. Why are you going out? So if people are aware of the problem, people are given basic tips, basic information on how to be able to detect and notify, and there's timely reaction, timely action, then we can really ensure that we can fight terrorism completely. These places, the vigilance checking, and not just checking, like I told you earlier. You have security personnel, you find that maybe all these places, but how skilled, how informed is a thorough checkup now that we are no longer looking at this foreign terrorist, and now Shabab, a man who is going to come, maybe of different origin. Now we are having people home that are using improvised devices to carry out these explosions. So then it calls for people who are well sensitized, who have well information to ensure that they perfect their art.
And what should be the role of government in all of this?
Basically, the role of government would be now to ensure that they have people who go out and give the needed information. You have the eye and information, and prepare timely action. Timely action.
All right. We have seen, and it's been said there's a listed associate of ADF. Of course, their leader is in DRC, but there's a collaboration between them out of the country and those that they're trying to recruit within the country. And so it's very hard to tie them directly to these incidences to be able to curb the true culprits. However, this causes us to then ask ourselves a question. Does the existence of peace ultimately mean that there's a solution? I mean, there's insecurity has been curbed?
Well, of course, there could be a relationship, but nevertheless, it may not ultimately be the evidence of the same. Peace is what is guaranteed internally, but it can only be complemented with the absence of any threat. It ceases to be peace then if people live in threat. And no wonder you've seen every other security personnel who comes out has to build confidence to restore the normative of peace. It is not good enough to talk about peace if there is no confidence, if there is fear. So at this point in time, where fear has been created in the public, one would say that peace is flying out. Because if you're not able to do things in a normal way, you are actually being limited, and that means there's a challenge. However, security is bigger than these small pockets. When you talk about security, it's a broader picture. And I've seen people coming out to say, I had members of parliament, that you're sending troops in Somalia, you're doing what, you're doing this. This is a whole different thing.
And
it's a whole different thing. And it has a relationship.
It has a relationship.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Directly or indirectly, it has a relationship. Because you know, like what happened, the example you gave in is it Chambog or is it Chadondo?
The rugby club and Ethiopian village yes.
It has taken how many years to have such an incident? Not that it's okay, but how long ago is it? You can imagine. There's been some good work in terms of curbing terrorism.
Agreed.
We have been able to strengthen the institution of police and, for example, the bomb squad and training people. And clearly, because once you see, no wonder we are talking about small attacks, internal. You can imagine if our borders were not safe and this equipment were just getting in here. It's unfortunate we lost people so far. We have lost 2 people. But imagine if it was more than that, because the opportunity was presented. Imagine if that whole bus went ablaze. If we had guys from experts who had come in to make, even the spokesperson of police was saying that these are internally made small bombs and what, but sadly we do feel bad about what's happening, but we must not lose focus on terms of security. And to complement security, we must engage the public, as Robert said, that when you want to discuss security and peace, these two will meet at some point, but what will definitely bring them together is the role of community. People who enjoy the peace, how vigilant do you enjoy this peace? I'll give you an example. Those days we used to board matatus in parks. Those are the most areas when you go to markets, when you go to the Chikuwos of this world, Butalibo Muburo, just to mention but a few. The role in such places is more, the burden is more on people than that is the peace we enjoy. That is the peace that we can go and do business, we can come and that is the, but at the end of the day, if you want to relate security to it, we must evoke the role of communities by far.
Okay, all right. There's also the role of media that it has to play in actually averting this new trend of terrorism. And our seasoned journalist here, Robert Kirabo, how can media actually contribute to dealing away with these small but yet significant terror attacks?
First, the media must have right information, then disseminate this information. And the media must have capacity to give tips on how best to avert and prevent such incidences from occurring. If the media wakes up, these incidents have happened, and chooses to take a wrong direction of information. Felix talked about politics and terrorism. What information is the media giving at this time? Is it giving information that is building security, that is building people's courage, people's belief that this is an enemy we can do with, or is it just communicating information that is maybe causing further insecurity and discouraging people to be able to partner with security agencies to curb criminality? If the media can give information that is relevant, that okay, these are the types maybe of objects maybe you should be very careful about. Don't just take any abandoned mobile phone, because a terrorist can remove the board of this mobile phone, then maybe put something that is explosive. If the media gives tips like, don't go to a place where you feel the checking is insufficient. If the media can give numbers,
or even demand for sufficient checking, because there's some places you can't avoid, you have to travel. Are you going to walk to Kabale?
When the media brings out, you know,
for that sufficient,
the media also has a role of name and shame if it's for the right reason. Exposure, because the exposure that the media gives causes action. If the media came out and said such and such and such a place is these places are not safe, you see, the authorities will then listen. So if we can expose, we can give the right information, we can give the tips, then the media will be very, very fundamental in the fight against terrorism.
All right, thank you so much. As it's been stated before, the wanted list includes the main commander for ADF, and that is Medi Nkalubo, situated in DRC, and then the clear chain of command in the different parts of Uganda is being headhunted by the different security agencies. Still regarding security, Parliament has unanimously agreed to further consult on the move to okay a ban of nuclear weapons in Uganda. The resolution to prohibit nuclear weapons was adopted back in 2017 at a UN General Assembly after 122 states, including Uganda, voted in favor to usher into a world free of nuclear weapons. And still within the region, we do have a coup that almost happened in Sudan, and as we speak, the top general has declared a state of emergency for the country of Sudan, dissolving all the authorities leading the country's democratic transition and announcement of a formation of a new government after soldiers detained civilian leaders. That was on Monday in what was supposed to be a staged coup. So even security within the region, we do have Tigray in Ethiopia that is also a challenge there. So let's be vigilant as we continuously state security starts with you and me, and then we can help the police forces, we can help the UPDF to be able to collect the intelligence that they need to make the right moves at the right time to keep all of us safe. Indeed, securing the future. We soldier on here on Good Morning Uganda, looking at the tabloids this Wednesday morning. Later on, traffic updates, and also looking at your responses to our poll question. And Robert Kirabo will be back here at the 8 o'clock hour. Good morning.
You know, you could just buy a new smartphone from anywhere in Uganda. Dial *175 *94 hash to activate their 100% double data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles for 3 months. Better yet, you automatically receive free 1 GB valid for 30 days. You are hooked already, aren't you? Enjoy 100% double data bonus from Airtel. Buy a smartphone from anywhere in Uganda and insert an Airtel SIM card. Dial *175 *94 hash to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Dial *175 hash and select your preferred bundle to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Vaccinated today so we can get closer to the normal way of life. Echa COVID-19 chija kugwa.
Getting GoTV was the best decision James has ever made. Finding a good place to watch football was never easy, but it was costly until James discovered something big. Now he can finally enjoy the benefits of homegrown advantage with a decoder and 1 month of GoTV value. For just 25,000 shillings, enjoy the world's biggest leagues and cap competitions. GoTV Uganda, love it.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Your feedback is something we treasure so much in this show. Let's first remind you regarding our poll question this morning, because we will later be reading out all your feedback and what more can be done by the security institutions to ensure safety of Ugandans amidst terror attacks. Please go on our various social media platforms, that is on YouTube and also on our WhatsApp number, where you can send both a WhatsApp message and an SMS, and we'll be reading out your feedback. Well, it's time we look at some of the stories in the dailies, and I have the New Vision, Felix has the Daily Monitor and the Daily Nation. Beginning with the education side of it, where we see Senior 1, Senior 5 cut-off points raised. Well, according to the vision, died in bus bombing, says the president. And also they give you cut-off points for senior 1 and senior 5 per school. There as the selections ongoing at Koro ceremonial grounds, but also pictures of those arrested, the suspects in the ongoing bombings there. There are pictures there so far. And of course, Medi in Kirabo, who is wanted, the picture is also there behind it, believed to be the mastermind of this terrorists. Still looking at the new vision, government to recruit 2,000 workers, and education first lady flags of study materials.
Story deepens over blast victims there, and we see until her burial, no one, including the government, knew Emily Nyinaneza's background. None of her relatives could be identified, nor showed up to claim the body, and she was buried by well-wishers in the public cemetery. Quite sad. There now, Ghanaian president to co-host NMG Kusi Ideas Festival. That's also a good one. But of course, now schools hike cut-off grades for S1 and S5. And also in police issues strict rules for taxi and buses. Now, should one invest in a family home or a business first? And this side, the same papers. Don Nabasa appointed military police commander, and 30 City Junction said to be signalized. From the archives, we see a photo of President Museveni shaking hands with Janet Balunzi Mukwaya, the then Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development. And of course, today in history, Mobutu hosts Uganda and Rwanda. That was in 1972. And US President Roosevelt is born. That is in 1858.
Back to the new vision, we begin with a COVID-19 tracker, where new confirmed cases stand at 30, positivity rate 0.8, new death 0, and total deaths so far, that is 3,200. Once again, go get your jab. That is the only way we shall prevent death, severe illness, and hospitalization. But also fight the spread of the disease by ensuring we perfect the SOPs. Still the new vision, we look at celebrating World Polio Day, the immunization exercise that is going on for children below the age of 5. So ensure that when the health workers knock at your door, you're very receptive to save the life of these young ones. Then your landmark, today we look at, that is the Nyero rock painting, which are found in Kumi district, that is eastern Uganda. Today in history, President Museveni opened then the New Vision office block and also bought shares.
Now in sports, NASA earns his place at Tundo wins, and penalty magic aids Uganda there for the Cranes. And of course, 8 English League, 1 song Liverpool expected to rotate heavily for the round of 16 clash at Preston North End. And Bakachi, I have lasting remedies to Villa mess. Now boxer Segawa itching for first title, and also baseball awakes from slumber with skills clinic. Now Red Eagles fly derby, spoils shared.
Looking at the New Vision Sport this morning, good start. That is Uganda's top seed Brian Kasirye and Muzaffaru Rubega. That is bagged second and first round wins. That is when it comes to the sports there. But we also see Ampoire on women's soccer. Mostly it is a Wednesday and they focus on women in sports in the New Vision. But also all my guests, well, as we gear up for the wedding of our gold medalist that will be in Kapchora town. There is so much of people who are going to be expected to be there, and those that have accepted the invitation. So it is also interesting regarding sports there and achievements of our gold medalists.
Now we also take a look at what's happening in the Daily Nation. And we'll be looking at Governor Kananu, why nobody saw this coming. But also Kusu Ideal Festival, NMG team calls on Ghana's president, and governor could defend seat or seek to be running mate. That is another one for Uhuru there, rather Ruto. Now political suicide or clever plan? Question there. Who will be running with Ndugu Ruto. Secret plan to sink money in that is Kimwere and Aro. Of course, also now Daily Nation, they give you a sneak peek in what's happening there. Do they seek to make a new merger or a new political marriage in the camp of Ruto? More of that, get yourself copies of the papers and you'll be able to tell the length of such stories. But also, Priscilla is here to give us what's happening on the roads and where we're coming from to where we're going. Priscilla.
Thank you so much, Felix. We get to look at the traffic update this morning, and we want to come in from Gaza Road looking to Chanja and possibly Ntinda, looking at how the traffic is flowing right this morning. Picking it up from Magere and Lutete, where it's a clear road, up until the interaction at Chitetika, where you do have a fish pond. You can actually get from that Gaza route in Chitetika and be able to connect directly to Chanja. So usually people who stay in Kasanga, people stay in Gaza, Kayunga, will alternatively use the Ntinda route, come through Chisasi and then through Chanja to be able to connect to Gaza Road to avoid all the traffic that comes in right from Wandegea, Kalere, then you do have Kanyanya, you do have Mperere. All the traffic can be avoided if only you can learn this route. It's a direct and easy, clear route for the evenings most especially, and in the mornings coming into town. So if you are to come into town from Gaza Road, you can definitely branch off at Chitetika and be able to connect to the areas of Chanja. Chanja has a ring road which goes around the major part residential, which still comes back to the trading center there, and that ring road between the trading center and of course the connecting road to Chitetika usually will be having a lot of jam this morning, because it's equally an interaction route for people that stay on the lower side of Gaza Road, especially coming in from the area of Komamboga, Wadigo Road and Chisasi, still trying to connect to the area code of Chanja. Away from that, we get to see the newly reopened roundabout on the Kampala Northern Bypass, and how it's actually a much flexible route to use right now. And of course, the interaction points there are expected at the Kulambilo Trading Center here at Chisasi Chanja. Trading Center is where you would be expecting to see some jam because of the connecting route from Chisasi connecting to the main route of Chanja Road. You also get to be seeing some hotspots here in Chisasi at the Chisasi roundabout equally that connects from Bukoto and also brings in traffic from Bahai Road and does connect right here. That is also going to be expectedly having jam this morning, as we can see some orange zones there. Chisota zone is also experiencing some jam in the areas of Chisasi equally. A long stretch of a red line that is connecting into the area of Bukoto. This is a surprise, so maybe something actually has happened in the road. Maybe there's a car that fuel has run out, or maybe an accident that has happened, because this ideally shouldn't be the case this morning. It's usually an easy passable road without any expectations of traffic. Interacting with the Kampala Northern Bypass from Chanja, still connecting into the areas of Ntinda, you only get to see the red-orange lines from the area of Kulambiro connecting to the roundabout and entering into Ntinda, where you do have Ndere Center on this side. Now that area is having some orange-red zones because there's sort of a taxi mini stage there that is either picking up or dropping off passengers in that area code. Magambo Road is an alternative route that people will use to avoid the traffic within the Ntinda Trading Center. So they will use Magambo Road, which will bring them right out of Hardware World. That is an option that you can use. Of course, every nearer it gets to Hardware World, the traffic picks up, because at Hardware World, they must interact with the main road traffic, which is the Koto Ntinda Road. But that interaction every single morning is manned by a traffic officer, so nothing for you to worry about. Still within the area of Ntinda, away from the Magambo route, you get to see that Ntinda Chisasi Road is having some hotspots of traffic jam. Of course, those are indicators that these are taxi stages that are trying to man the public transport system. You do have Chigowa area code that is also having a connecting route from Tinda Chisasi Road and connects you to Old Chira Road. If you still want to avoid the trading center traffic jam, you can simply connect to Chigowa and it will bring you right onto Old Chira Road, and then you can continue to the areas of Chiwatule or Nanya for that matter. But on Old Kira Road entering into Ntinda Trading Center, the traffic jam starts to pick up right at the connection route. You also do have Chigobe route that brings in traffic from the areas of Chambogo. People who stay in Chambogo usually will use this as an alternative route to connect to this side of Kampala. And then into the area of Ntinda, you will see a lot of traffic jam on just connecting routes onto Ntinda Road, which then pours traffic into the areas of Nakawa. You also are seeing some hotspots here within the Ntinda Trading Center. Magambo Road, of course, is expectedly. You also do have Katalima Road that connects to Nakawa, and it definitely will interact with the traffic on Nakawa side and also the traffic getting into Ntinda. It's used as an alternative route. You do have Mutasa 2 Road, Semawata Road that all bring in connection traffic to Ntinda Road and also Ntinda 2 Road. Having a sneak peek of what the traffic looks like interacting with Ntinda and Nakawa. Of course, on the Nakawa industrial area, you definitely see a long stretch of traffic that we are experiencing there all the way to what is known as Spears. This thing very same morning, and that is an indicator that there's a lot of traffic within the Nakawa area. The backside of Nakawa would be Chinawataka, and Chinawataka Road is seemingly looking clear to use as a diversionary route for you away from the main route in Nakawa. And the expectation is that if you're coming in from Chireka Banda and you want to use Chireka Road is having traffic jam. As we can see right from Bwegere, it's having the traffic jam, which traffic jam is taking you into the area of Chinawataka. But if you can bear that traffic, I think it's much more a better alternative to Nakawa route, and then you can be able to either feed into Golobi or better still go into the heart of the city. And those are some of really the connective routes that you should be considering this morning between Chanja, Ntinda and Nakawa. Away from that, your poll question responses have been very interesting. We do have a message coming in from Joshua. Joshua, thank you so much. You say good morning. Well, good morning to you. Taking on your responses in regards to how we can actually be more vigilant. Good morning, Uganda, ever-looking lady and gentlemen of UBC. If SOPs could help tame COVID-19, then SOPs of security should be drafted by the authority and religiously followed by the public. The bombers will melt away to hell where they came from. Well, thank you so much. If we can have those SOPs, again, in reference to how government and security agencies did respond to the bomb blasts of terrorism back in 2010. If we can adopt that once again, it's just for a while, but it's very effective if you ask me. Good morning, Uganda. Security starts with people, so people should be able to work hand in hand with the police to report any suspected persons, since it does not only benefit the police but all of us. And we should also know our neighbors and their works better, so we can put a keen eye on the new people in our communities, since most harmful people go to places where they are not known. For the police, please ensure security checkups at the entrance of public places to ease your work. Thank you so much for that response. Good morning. This is Otom from Wakiso, Chigo. Police or security should sensitize the public on how do these things look like. That's a very good one. These devices, how do they look like? What are the mechanisms? What are the compositions of these explosive devices? That could go a long way in helping the public be more keen, because you may say be vigilant, but it has to be more constructive than just telling the public. Show them what they should be looking out for. So I do agree with you, Otom. What should be my first step if I get such a thing as I suspect it to be a bomb? I'm happy the emergency lines have have been given, but this isn't quicker because police may not respond in time. Instead of taking government officials at Chankwanzi for political retreats, why not civilians and teach them on how to deal with such scenarios? As a country, we should have planned for this before. Okay, we do have another response here. Hello, good morning, Uganda team. The issue of ongoing bombing needs vigilance from everyone. Though the security and those on counter-terrorism wake up from their deep sleep, they need deep security to get their best. And this is at Dre. As the government prepares to recruit 2,000 extension workers, then they should be taught that seeds like cassava cutting are best planted as one of the best in the rainy season, not in October, the way some of them do. Okay, that's in regards to agriculture and the likes. But thank you so much for all your contributions to our poll question this morning. Now, speaking of which, on our Twitter handle, which is UBC TV Uganda, we always give you an update in this regard. And speaking of updates, we do have a national address coming in tomorrow at exactly 8 p.m. from the head of the state, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who's going to be addressing the nation regards the COVID-19 situation and other national matters. Of course, security being one of them. So it's going to be live on UBC as well as Star TV at exactly 8 p.m. So prepare to actually be able to catch up with this national state address and find out what you should be doing thereafter and what are the new conditions of existence for now to be able to keep the peace alive and enjoyable in our country, Uganda. Allow us to take a short commercial break. Of course, Robert Kirabo is coming through on the top of the hour, 8 a.m., talking about nature and environmental protection, especially with the heavy rains that we always enjoy in October and November, but there's always a downside to them because they bring in floods and landslides, especially in the area of Bududa, which is going to be our focal point this morning in regards to this conversation. Ruben Pima Chivirango and our sporting guest will be here to crown up the hour talking about sports. Of course, Express FC having the first win of the season. Should we, say kudos, or should we first wait before we can celebrate them and think of them as title contenders once again? And of course, for the Arsenal fans, there will be a good discussion in that regard. For now, we take a short break and we return at the top of the hour. Stay with us.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by
Authentically symbolic and insightful.
We should work so hard to evacuate this power.
Behind the Headlines, every Wednesday at 10 p.m. with Charles Odong Top.
Was brought to you by
We've cut and reduced our MTN Momo withdrawal rates. Now you can withdraw mobile money at the lowest rates. You also get MTN Central Points when you deposit, send, and withdraw MTN mobile money. Visit our Momo agents countrywide and withdraw mobile money at our reduced rates from 1st May 2021. Everywhere you go, MTN.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Welcome to English in a Minute. Every language has weather-related expressions. Two common weather conditions are rainy and sunny.
Jonathan, are you coming to my lawn care party? We need to mow the lawn, pull the weeds, and cut down a dead tree.
Of course. I will be there.
You know, you also said you were coming to my paint my kitchen party, and you didn't.
This time I will. come rain or shine. I will be at your place Saturday morning.
Come rain or shine means something will happen no matter what. It's a promise. You can even use the phrase when talking about the actual weather. So, if you invite people to an outdoor party, you can tell them it will happen come rain or shine. And that's English in a minute.
Welcome to the home of our stars. Come on in. We have our movies, gossip, reality, conflict, tulinane comedy. Basirebo baffe bonna live right here. Because no matter where you go, this is the home of our stars.
This year, as Power Magic Mix 3, we are delighted to invite you to see, experience and celebrate with us. Power Magic, the home of our stars. Multi-Choice Uganda is regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Grow together with one of Uganda's largest companies. Apply for MTN shares for as low as 100,000 Uganda shillings. And when you apply using MTN Mobile Money, you get 10 free extra shares for every 100 shares you apply for. Dial *165*65# or use the MyMTN app to apply now. The terms and conditions of the offer and other important information are set out in the prospectus. For assistance, visit any MTN service center or Stanbic Bank branch countrywide or a licensed broker.
The third National Agroecology Actors Symposium will take place on the 27th of October 2021 at Silver Springs Hotel, Kampala, under the theme, Transforming Uganda's Food Systems Through Agroecology. The event will be live on UBC TV from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. and streamed live on UBC YouTube channel and Pelham Uganda's social media platforms.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by
Authentically symbolic and insightful.
We should work so hard to evacuate this power.
Behind the headlines, every Wednesday at 10 p.m. with Charles Odong Top.
How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
It's super cool to be a mass superhero, to get the spread of the virus to 0. Did you know that just wearing a mask is not enough? Yes, correctly wearing a mask will protect you and others, but you still have to remember to wash your hands with clean running water and soap or using a sanitizer, socially distance, and avoid crowded areas. Wearing a mask helps protect you and others from spreading viruses.